Welcome to The Medical Conspiracy with Dr. Carpenter.
Okay, we are back from, well, the news, because there was a first hour, end of the first hour, and was the break. And so you have had the news. And now we're back. And actually, while we were waiting to come back, we were talking about gruesome work stories. Yeah, the economy being difficult, it's difficult to find a job, and so the employers take advantage of it, and they treat you like slaves, and you can't do anything about it because you need the job. So, yeah, that's the situation. With that, we are going back to all the disgusting stuff that happened in medical. Now, with the example of Robin Roberts, that want to sound like
courage.
Yeah,
The courage.
Yeah, of being a sheep and following what you're told and succumbing to fear that they put into you. But the big stress is in prevention. We need to find a way to prevent cancer. Okay, prevention of all type of cancer, but breast cancer also. Well, in the news just today, it was, I think it was Medscape, I don't remember. They were talking about how, no, it was not. It was just another site that reports what drugs have been approved. And FDA has just approved a new breast implant, okay? I don't see how FDA approves breast implant, because to see what happens, you have to use it and implant it and then sit there and wait years to see what happens. So I don't know how they could possibly test it properly. But anyway,
about cosmetic surgery, Dr. Carpenter, a breast implant for cosmetic or for other purposes?
Well, it's hard to separate the two. The person could go for a breast implant because she has had a mastectomy. Okay, so. Okay. It's just not defining what's the purpose, although they say that the majority of the cases are recorded are cases of, for cosmetic reason. But it could be a whole sorts of reason. They really are not dividing it up by reason for having the implant. But as you know, years and years ago, they were using this bag with silicone inside. Okay, then they realized that the bags invariably leak, and then you have silicone going throughout the body, and it really causes problems. So they started using the saline, their bag, but they have saline inside. Okay, so if it leaks, it won't do any damage to the body. Well, these newly approved breast implants that are supposed to be better, because I don't see how they could have sufficient history to tell. These are pouches containing a silicone gel. So back to the silicone. Okay, it's a gel. Well, so what? It's still silicone, okay? And the major problem of those, everything is the same. It's just leaking. Over time, they leak, okay? And so you use silicone again? We are now silicone-based life, okay? So we're mostly water, so the saline was a good choice. No, now FDA has approved these new ones that are filled with silicone gel. Now, my complaint about this whole thing is you want to prevent cancer and you approve these, because one thing, when they discuss the side effects, like you say, you can get an infection, there's a perforations, filling, all sorts of. Well, they never mention in this particular article discussing the approval of FDA. They never mention the fact that breast cancer implants, even if they don't leak, they cause breast cancer. They cause breast cancer. I have seen it over and over and over. Even if the is before the leakage problem. They might be leaking and they might not. It doesn't matter. It causes breast cancer. And it's obvious because you're introducing something that is extraneous to your body. When you do that, you don't know how the body's going to react. And apparently it happens a lot. I've seen it. And by the way, when they go for standard treatment, they remove the implants. And then they do whatever it is that they think they're going to do. But the first thing they do is remove the implant. And then they do the different testing, and then they do the surgery, whatever, chemo, whatever. The first thing they do is remove the implant. With the treatment I was offering, you don't need that. You are not going to damage, the implant is not going to get damaged. You don't have to have it removed. Nothing happens. Just the cancer dies. The implant remains intact because it's not affected. Okay? Because I had a lot of patients complaining, oh, now I have to have the implant redone. No, you don't. Cancer is dead. You don't have to have the implant redone. You're fine. See? But no, let's do all these terrible treatments. But anyway, so the implants are one of the major causes of breast cancer. And they didn't even mention it in this article when they were discussing the side effects. They vaguely said cancer, but they didn't dwell on what type of cancer and why. And
now, Dr. Carpenter, is this just common knowledge among, say, doctors in general, or is it something that's known by the general public? Do they say, well, you're risking possibly getting cancer if you get this surgery, this, cosmetic surgery?
No, they don't say that when the patient goes in. Yeah, they don't. They know it. Enough cases have happened to make sure they know it, but no, they don't tell the patient, even though they're supposed to. Yeah. It's common knowledge, and a lot of patients know it too, but still they want to risk it. But a lot of patients don't because they were never told that.
You know what? I have to say, I cannot even imagine how somebody could consider, messing with their body that way for vanity. I mean, risking all kinds of horrible...
Because they are not told they're risking anything.
Yeah.
They are not informed. Okay? Yeah. They're not properly informed. And that's the real problem. And then FDA turns around and approves something that, is a gel now instead of just a normal silicone. Well, what does that mean? It's still silicone. And the problem was that will spill in the body. A gel or not, it can still spill if there is a... Oh, man.
Well, does the FDA approve sex change operations?
Courage.
Like transgender sex change operations?
Oh, that's real courage.
I'm just wondering.
That's a medical procedure. FDA does not have jurisdiction over medical procedure, protocols and medical procedures, surgery. They do not. That's why, really, FDA had no jurisdiction over me.
That's exactly what we've talked about over and over, what I was just going to say. It was never under their jurisdiction to say word one to you, much less raid your office and conduct...
Well, that's why they had to lie.
Yeah.
That's why they had to lie and put a fake reason for the raid.
Unbelievable.
See? Yeah. Yeah. So... I don't know. I can't believe it. But then they turn around and FDA, with all the emphasis on prevention, the FDA turns around and provides, gives approval to those implants. Silicone implants. Back to silicone. What is this?
They just don't like saline solution, Dr. Carpenter. They didn't like it in your case, did they? Saline solution. That's a drug.
Right. Well, I guess it's an adulterated drug because I put color in it. Okay, yes, that's FDA, guys. That's FDA. That's what FDA is doing, and that's why the head of FDA was reconfirmed in her position.
Yeah,
and
by the way, Fraud and Death Administration.
Yeah, and by the way, this woman went to FDA as head of FDA from a pharmaceutical company. I can't remember which one, but...
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
Surprise, right? Big surprise.
Yeah, big surprise. A musical chair thing. Right? Yes. Uh-huh. And then the other big thing, this is not breast cancer, but another big thing that has happened this week that shows the dishonesty and the stupidity too. Okay, the AMA stood up and decided to declare obesity a disease.
A disease?
Yeah. If you're obese, if you're overweight, you're diseased.
Oh, that's absurd.
I know it is. And this guy wrote an article and was saying, okay, first of all, let's review, doing like I do, go to the dictionary and see how the dictionary defines disease, okay? A disorder or incorrectly functioning organ, part, structure, or system of the body resulting from the effect of genetic or developmental errors, infection, poisons, nutritional deficiency or imbalance, toxicity, or unfavorable environmental factors, illness, sickness, ailment. And this guy says, that wrote the article says, and actually he's a family physician, he said, I have difficult time fitting obesity into this definition. And especially when you look at nutritional deficiency.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I will tell you my stand in a minute. I want to continue on. And basically what he's saying, the strange thing about this, the AMA declared obesity a disease just shortly after 2 obesity drugs have been approved and put on the market.
Surprise.
See, that way, if you the doctor prescribed these drugs for obesity that is a disease, then there is insurance reimbursement.
Now let me ask you this, Dr. Carpenter. What is their definition of obesity? Is it done by the actuarial charts that give like a standard weight, and the insurance company?
Actually, is based on the what they call BMI, and it is just a mass factor. Okay, mass versus fat mass. Okay. And if BMI is greater than 30 kilograms per meter square, then they consider that obesity. Okay?
Well, that reminds me of, Dr. Carpenter, reminds me of the American Psychiatric Association, who has, believe it or not, tried to introduce mental illness or disorder as being people who are, quote, anti-government extremists, defenders of the Constitution. Those people, we need to watch those people because those people are displaying a form of some kind of mental disorder.
Just like the people that are crying because a relative died, a loved one died, that's a disease. They have a mental disorder.
Absurd. Have they ever heard of the word grief? Grieving.
Right, and they say that is bereavement is supposed to be one of the reasons they have to drug the person.
Nonsense.
I talked about it. It's the new guidelines. But anyway, so what these doctors say is that he knows that people that have a BMI of 30 kilograms per meter square or even more, and they are in fabulous shape because they are athletes. Fabulous shape and health. Okay? But see, by definition, they're obese, okay? And they need these 2 drugs. And he said there is a new specialty now. It's called obesiology. No,
obesology?
Obesitologist. Yes.
Obesitologist. Oh, my God.
Oh, God.
Okay, and by the way, the drug Aquasimia and Belvic, that they were just approved shortly before the AMA made the announcement. Okay.
And what do they do to supposedly treat obesity?
They give him drugs. What else?
No, but what are the
lose
drugs
weight.
supposed to do? I mean,
Lose weight.
just lose weight?
Yeah.
What are the side effects?
They probably don't even know now what the side effects are.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he goes over. He just goes over by saying it's just an issue of money. Okay? It's just an issue of wanting the money so they can prescribe these drugs. It's probably pushed at the drug salesman too. So if you do not have a disease that you're treating as a doctor, the insurance won't pay. It might not even pay for the doctor visit. But
So
if
obesity has to become a disease then.
for an insurance company to pay. I think it's not just, that's not the only reason, okay? The other reason is that just to keep people sick and going to the doctor and taking medication that cause all the disease, and you're stuck there forever. But my comment is about the cause, because the obesity is running rampant these days. And of course, they keep claiming that people eat too much or drink too much soda or whatever nonsense, okay? Well, in the definition, there is something like is the effect of different things in obesity, including poisons, okay? And to me, that will make it a disease, because poisons can cause obesity. I think it's not a natural disease, it's a cause disease, a side effect of something, because poisons are the drugs that people are giving. People are giving an ungodly amount of drugs, and a lot of medication cause the person to become overweight.
Well, you know what,
It is.
Carpenter? I've known people that have taken antidepressants, and they've all put on suddenly a tremendous amount of weight. They haven't even eat any more, nothing. It's just when they started taking these drugs, suddenly they ballooned and they became, I don't know how, they've gained a lot of weight. So that
and that's a poison. It's a drug they're giving them that are poison and cause that. Not only that, even the drugs used for people, which is something that most people have, allergies, they give allergy medication, they gain a tremendous amount of weight. So most of the obesity that is running rampant in the country is caused by the drugs, the medication they're given.
Just like most of the other things that are wrong, whether they're a disease or not, they're caused by the drugs.
Yeah. It just, and then this guy, the author of this article, says that he is rather rotund and he does not want to be confused with being obese. But he's saying that he's really uncomfortable when he goes to Europe, because European country, everybody's slim and he is on the heavy side and he feels uncomfortable, so he likes to get back to the U.S.
Rotund.
Yeah, and they said, but, by declaring obesity a disease, then it's given a charge code by the insurance company, okay? So you can put this charge code and you can get reimbursed. And, we really need, this is funny, I need to read it to you, okay? To just make fun of the coding thing, okay? And he said they might as well include obesity, because look at this. The International Classification of Diseases that has the code, so you can use a code for charging for treatment. He says that it reaches the absurdity. It's totally absurd these days. He said that his favorite diagnosis has code E845. Get this. E845, and it's a launching pad accident.
What?
I guess if an astronaut has an accident, in the launching pad accident.
Yeah, what about a person that drinks a 6-pack of beer in front of the TV set and has a big beer belly? Is that person disease?
Well, that's obesity. Probably is obese. But listen to this other one. His second favorite diagnosis code is E884.9. And this is falling from a haystack. And then I can't believe that you have to put this detail to have a code for a child.
Is that real?
Yeah, it's from the International Classification.
From the haystack?
It's a foal. Why does it have to be a foal? And then there is another one that is E906.8. This is funny too. Pecked on the head by bird.
Pecked on the head.
Pecked.
Pecked on the head by a bird. In other words, wouldn't be a puncture wound. The normal thing would be like a puncture wound or a something like that, right? But instead, it has to be specified under a number of a disease, right?
Yeah, pecked.
That's stupid.
On the head by bird. Yeah, well, that's what he's saying. It's stupid. On the other hand, I think, code or not, that defining obesity a disease is not far-fetched when you're including in the cause for the disease is poison.
Yeah, right.
Because it is from drugs they're poisons and they're causing obesity. Okay, so that happens. The whole thing is still ridiculous because
so they're ignoring the actual cause of the so-called disease.
Disease, right?
That's irrelevant, right?
Right. But what's important that is a disease is so that the doctor can be charged, I guess, for the visit and the prescription of these drugs. Yeah. So he said it's basically money issue. Okay.
Well, Dr. Carpenter, is this a fairly recent? I'm talking about prescribing drugs for obesity because in the past, I mean, I don't really know much about it, but in the past, it seemed to me that when people had weight problems or whatever, they would usually, they try to go on some kind of a diet or exercise.
Yeah, and that's what they have been doing. But think about this, I'm pretty sure that by now they all realize that even if people are not eating that much, they still gain weight because of the medication they're taking.
Medication, yeah.
Free speech guaranteed. You're listening to the Orion Talk Radio Network.
At Orion Talk Radio, we're constantly working hard on your behalf. But the fight for freedom could not be fought without you. So we want to hear what you have to say at 888-272-4434.
I just want to say thank you guys for doing what you're doing. My old radio station has completely failed me. Corporate news is nothing but talking points and propaganda, and it's time that we thought for ourselves. It's about time we had a station that deals with the real truth, so thank you.
The mainstream media lies to us. We all know it.
Hi, I love listening to your station.
I listen to you daily. I love the Orion Network. It is filled with great shows.
I've shared it with my friends, and we are devout listeners of Orion Radio.
All I can say is I get what I need to know from Orion Talk Radio.
At Orion Talk Radio, we're waiting for your call. 888-272-4434.
Don't miss the Medical Conspiracy hosted by me, Dr. Carpenter, every Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Orion Talk Radio.
You're listening to The Medical Conspiracy with Dr. Carpenter.
Okay, we are back from the last break before the end. And before the break, I was discussing the ridiculous codes that this guy mentioned in his article. And another ridiculous thing, he said, we are just going overboard with this thing of diseases. And he said he expected that soon they will call gray hair developed because of aging process to be a disease.
Oh, God. Oh, my
He's
God.
just making fun of them.
Yes,
and he's right.
Yeah. But it's not out of the question, Dr. Carpenter, with the lunacy that goes on.
Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But it is connected with the fact that once it's declared as a disease, they give it a code, and then they get paid, and then they can prescribe drugs, and they can get paid, get kickback from the drug company, especially when it's a new drug. But instead, though, that is not a disease. If you're gaining weight because you're taking tamoxifen, you're gaining weight and you're becoming obese because of allergy medication or whatever medication, a lot of medication cause that problem, even if you're not hungry eating that much. Cancer survivors not necessarily are eating that much, but they gain weight like crazy because of tamoxifen. So it's all a nonsense, and they should call it for what it is. It's a side effect of a bad drug. Are there any good drugs? I don't think so, but that is a side effect of a bad drug that should not be on the market. Because if it produces bad effects, okay,
that's like Mr. Carpenter. I mean, if you think back to the first do no harm, these drugs always do harm, and they should not be used at all.
Yeah, but then they come up to justify their action by saying, "Oh, the first do no harm. It's just an old idea."
Yeah, an old idea.
Yeah, right. Old idea. First do no harm. And a side effect. See, when we're going back to the Robin Roberts situation, the bone cancer she got is not the disease. It's a side effect. She didn't get that cancer. It is a side effect of the treatment, and they are trying to glance over and not discuss it. And people should keep in mind, it was a side effect, something that made it what they did.
It was a direct cause and effect.
Right. Which makes whatever they use to treat it something unacceptable. That should not be FDA approved, whatever drug they use for her. The radiation, they should not use any of that. Radiation causes bone cancer. I mean, come on, it's a well-known fact. And then they use that as a treatment? That's just what's going on. And then connected with that, there was another article. I thought they took them hand in hand of the bad side effect. And this article that says, Americans are not making the grade medication adherence. That means they get poor grade of sticking to taking medication that the doctor prescribed it to them. Oh, that's terrible. We have to find a way to. They're only getting they should get an A, but they're not. They're getting only barely a C plus. And how they evaluate that, I'd like to know. Okay, how do you evaluate the grade for adherence of taking the drug?
So they're blaming. They're giving the patient a grade for something that the doctor prescribed.
They are not sticking to taking the drugs given to them, therefore they get an F.
Your courage score has gone down.
You're sheeply. You're sheeply. Okay. The statement in this article is 1 in 7 adults with chronic condition, which is equivalent to more than 10 million adults. 10 million adults in the U.S. have chronic condition. 1 in 7 receive an F grade. Now, keep in mind that cancer is being classified as a chronic condition. Okay? So, if you don't take your cancer drugs, you get an F.
That's idiotic.
Yeah. But it tells you something, okay? They are upset because people are not taking their drugs. Why people have stopped taking their drugs? Huh? Certainly not because
Dr. Carpenter, that's so typical, though. What they're basically doing is they're trying to shame people. You know, like a kid in grade school. Oh, little Johnny, he got an F. Shame on you, Johnny.
Well, once they get those smart chips in us, and they'll be able to, they'll be able to tell who's taking their meds and who's not. And if you're not taking your meds, they just cut off your food supply or cut off your.
Nothing that they could do would ever surprise me.
Yeah, I know. Well, and they don't realize, they quit and they quit taking the medication. They don't refill the prescription. They have not included one factor, flushing the prescription down the toilet.
Yeah, that's right. That's
I
right.
had 2 patients that did that. They got so fed up and they flushed it down the toilet, too. Okay, but they don't refill it. They get an F grade because they're not taking the medication. Instead of saying, why are they not taking the medication? Oh, they forgot. Oh, yeah, right. They forgot. No, they are fed up of the side effects. That's why they don't take them. They're fed up of the fact that they don't work, because all these medications, they make you sick and they really don't do anything. And they're fed up with the fact that they have horrible side effects.
Except for cause they do something. They cause worse diseases, real diseases.
Right. But of course, they always want to get into the chronic, so you'll take the medication forever. See? And it used to be that tamoxifen, only you had to take it for, which is a long time still, for 5 years, and then you could stop. And the reason is that it's totally inefficient after 5 years. Now they've decided, no. That is really good for you. You need to keep taking it because it does something. We're not really sure what, but it does something. So you need
Dr. Carpenter, people are so brainwashed. So I know that I have chronic illness, okay? I have one chronic illness that I have is fibromyalgia. I've had it for years, okay? And I just do the best I can. And if I tell somebody, okay, let's say somebody asked me, what's wrong today? And I'm in pain. Oh, I have fibromyalgia. Oh, they have a drug for that. I said, no, thanks. That's the automatic response that I get when I tell somebody, oh, they have a drug for that. Okay? And no, thanks. No, thanks.
And that's what they do. Oh, there is a drug. You have no problem. We can solve it.
Right.
I know. And people are so, and I don't see how they can be brainwashed into thinking all these things when, the case of Robin Roberts come around. How can they keep not wake up and keep being brainwashed?
Because the whole society, people are inculcated for the quick fix. It's not like this condition, whatever it is, took some time to develop, and you need to look into the cause. Why did it develop? Okay? Instead, all they want is the quick fix. I need a fix now. Whatever it takes. I need a fix now.
Yeah. And then things that take time, well, that did not work. That's what happens. And no matter the fact that you feel good, you don't have side effects, but the tumor is not disappearing fast enough. The tumor is still there, so your method did not work.
Well, that's exactly the stories you've told, Dr. Carpenter.
Yeah.
People did not listen to the treatment protocols, didn't follow it. Then they made the mistake of going back to a regular oncologist, so-called. Oh, the cancer is still there. The tumor's still there. And as a result, the people who did not listen ended up going back to the stupid treatment, the lethal treatment, I could call it. It's like fatal attraction treatment. Okay?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Why they do that? It's because they're afraid of dying, and the doctor tells them, this is great. It will work wonderful for you. All the problems you had is because of that treatment you had.
Well, exactly. And we've talked about this before, Dr. Carpenter, that, again, the propaganda in this society is that the doctor is a god. I am a god. I am a doctor. And people buy into that, and it's just very, very foolish.
Yeah, it is. And I don't see how I understand that having cancer is a scary thing, mostly because of the treatment, really. But I understand all of that. But on the other hand, we have a brain. We should be able to rationalize things. Don't allow the fear to take over you, because then that is deadly. Yeah. If you let the fear taking over, you are in real trouble. And that's one thing that I keep trying to tell people. Don't do that. Stay cool, stay calm, don't let that happen.
You know what, Dr. Carpenter? This reminds me of a person being desperate, okay, acting out of desperation. That's always a mistake. Many years ago I had a martial arts teacher, and he told me, never advance from a position of weakness. You don't just go running, hysterical. You don't ever make a move out of weakness. You wait. You wait from a position of strength. You don't just go getting hysterical. And that's what is happening. I understand the fear too. But that's propagandized into them that this is what you must do or else.
Yeah. And how do you fight that? That's the real problem.
By education, like this program.
Yeah, well, you have to listen, and you have to, again, have the courage to fight back.
Yes, that's right.
You have to have the courage. And the Arthur Ashe Courage Award goes to people that fight back, not the people that accept the way it is. Fight back. It doesn't matter that you don't get the award, but you deserve it. So
yes. Well, again, people, hopefully, enough people have an open mind. That's where it starts. You have to have an open mind. You have to be willing to look around to see what is out there. And you have to learn to be discerning. And it takes a lot of effort. You have to look. You have to take the time and make the effort. And most people are just not, unfortunately, willing to do that.
Yeah, that's the problem. They don't realize, though, but by not doing that, by not taking action, you're making the situation worse for yourself and everybody else.
Yep.
And I keep saying it over and over. We need to be united in this. Isolated efforts are not going to do much. We need to unite and go after what's going on in the system. We have to.
And of course, we have, as we've spoken about many times, we have the alternative, so-called alternative practitioner shills. Okay.
Brzezinski.
Yeah, Brzezinski or however many others who are promoting all these things that don't work, and they are the controlled opposition. So as we've seen, people get herded into that. They say, I found out that the real, the standard treatments don't work. So I'm going to this person or Mike Adams or this person or that person.
Alkalinity.
Yes. Or Rima Labo. What about that freak? Rima Labo. The Natural Solutions Foundation.
Coldwell.
Yeah, Coldwell.
She was not really talking about cancer, but Rima Labo was not talking about cancer, but still the whole thing.
But it's still along the same, it's all along the same. They all claim to be against the FDA, okay? But they don't have anything. Whatever they're doing, whatever they're promoting, they don't have anything, and they are shills, and they are controlled opposition. And look how Rima Labo attacked us after we did that show on her, remember? She made a whole big
she
response.
She claimed that we were viciously attacking her.
Yeah. Viciously attacked.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and sometimes I really get disgusted and disappointed because nobody seems to be listening. No matter, I give so much evidence of what is going on. Every single week there is at least one more proof of what is happening, what is being done to us, what FDA is in food, what is it, fraud and death,
Fraud and Death Administration.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Carpenter, I can tell you that I'm amazed every week. We have 2 hours, okay, and some of that's taken up by news and commercial, but still, you always have so much more material than we can actually use. And there's always so much to cover because it's out there, it's happening, these things are happening, and somebody needs to be reporting on it and dissecting it and telling the truth about what is really happening. That's what you do on this program.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to present what's going on, present the highlights of what all of that means and what's the effect on you. And then, you all need to get together and do something. We cannot allow to continue this way. allowing the Constitution to be violated at every second, and our rights to be violated at every second, and our medical, our healthcare system to be our enemy instead of our friend.
Well, I'm just happy that the Talk Superstation picked up your program, Dr. Carpenter.
Yeah.
They have a lot of, I believe they have a lot of listeners. So you never know that you might get by other like syndicated stations. I bet that'll happen.
Well, I don't know. I have no idea. There is no way to get feedback on the number of listeners. That's the real problem.
There isn't. No, there's no way.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, no, they don't. And even though they all claim, oh, yeah, there is a way. No, there isn't. And this has been in every station I've been, I have been trying to deal with. There is just not.
Yeah, that seems odd because, if you have a website, you can get a hit count type thing, right?
You would think, but no, you don't get it from the listeners. So
really,
it's really depressing, and it just I don't know. There are more and more people that are going for the alternative, and there is a good amount of awareness that standard methods are not correct and people should not follow that. But even alternative, you have to be careful because a lot of
all kinds of quacks and charlatans. That's why.
Yeah. I mean, they're not only in the AMA, they are also there. And the biggest quacks are the ones that are working with the medical establishment and call it, what do they call it? It's just incorporating the two, but they call it
integrative.
Yes. That's what they call it. So they can combine the synergy. We are
like Brzezinski.
Yeah. Well, he first gave him his stuff, and then he said, "Oops, sorry, it didn't work." So, chemo.
Yeah, right.
That's what he does to every single person.
With the millions and millions and millions of dollars being raked in the big, huge facility, right?
Oh, yeah. It really has a big place. And so, I mean, and people keep falling for it. I just don't understand that, okay? How many times can you be taken for a ride? I have no idea. Because, what they say, the first time is shame on you. The second is shame on me. Yeah. But, of course, in most cases, they don't get the second to be shamed.
No.
That's it. They don't get the second chance. So it's just, it's pretty depressing. And the medical has really a very strange attitude toward the alternative, too. I read an article that was saying how there are patients that doctor get that are all for alternatives, so they incorporate them since it's a 2-week thing. They incorporate their treatment with the standard treatment, and and they said, why does the doctor, a member of the AMA, doesn't put a stop to that? And there are actually one official version that they give, and he's saying the patient believe in this alternative, so if we told them something against it, we lose the patient because they quit believing in us and we lose the patient. So we just drag him by the spoon, and make him believe, you can do that and all this. But then when it comes right down to the real belief is just we are doing this to appease the patient, but what they are discussing is just quackery. Alternative doesn't work, which is not true. It won't work for cancer, but neither does the standard.
Believe me, there are, and you know this, Dr. Carpenter.
Yeah.
Other alternative treatments, there are things that work, and they're far superior to, like, homeopathic medicine stuff.
Yeah.
And Chinese medicine and all that. Yeah, they work for certain conditions and illnesses. They certainly do.
Yeah. There are some things that do work, just not for cancer, but there are some things that do work. And the doctors all put them into a bag and say, no, this is quackery. But the reality is that they cannot tell the patient this quackery, so they just lead them around giving them misinformation and say, oh, yeah, sure, just patronizing them while they're giving talks. And that's what they're doing.
While they're bleeding them dry financially.
Okay, well, so we've gotten to the end of another show. And I hope this show will run on Saturday, because I'm really getting tired of doing all this work and not having the show running. So I hope that you hear what we had to say, especially the Robin Roberts case. That was very important for you to realize what is really going on if you didn't already know. And so hopefully you can hear all of it, our word included. And then we'll hear you again. You'll hear from us again the next Saturday, next week. And hopefully some of this will sink in and people, listeners, will agree to do something. If not for everybody, at least for themselves. Stay away from legalized drugs.
Thank you for listening to The Medical Conspiracy with Dr. Carpenter.